There comes a time in many parents' lives when the relationship with their children begins to shift. You spend decades raising them, guiding them, and sacrificing for them. Then one day, you realize something has changed. They might ignore your advice, dismiss your opinions, or even talk down to you. It's a deeply painful experience. If you feel you are being treated with less respect than you deserve, your first instinct might be frustration or anger. You might want to remind them of everything you've done. But the truth is, anger and arguments won't fix this. In fact, they often make things worse. Instead, there is a much more powerful and effective way to regain respect. In this video, I will share 6 powerful shifts you can make when your adult children are disrespectful. These are not about fighting or creating conflict. They are simple, profound changes in how you respond that can completely transform the way they see you, and more importantly, the way you see yourself. If this video was valuable to you, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. 1. Stop chasing their approval. Stop chasing their approval. One of the biggest mistakes we can make as parents is trying too hard to please our adult children. We go out of our way to accommodate them, say yes when we want to say no, and put their needs ahead of our own, hoping they'll appreciate us more. But here's a hard truth. The more you chase their approval, the less they respect you. Respect is not earned through self-sacrifice. It is earned through self-respect. If you are always bending over backward, you are teaching them that your needs and feelings come second. I once knew a woman named Margaret. To keep the peace, she started letting her children make all her decisions and ignored the way they spoke down to her. But instead of keeping the peace, she lost her voice. Her children stopped valuing her because they saw her as someone who would always just agree. The first step to regaining respect is not to demand it, but to stop acting like you desperately need it. When you begin to respect yourself by setting boundaries and speaking your mind, they will start to see you differently. 2. Lead by example. Don't argue. Don't argue, lead by example. When your children dismiss you or treat you with disrespect, the instinct is to argue, to demand that they listen. But let me save you years of frustration. Arguing never works. You cannot convince someone to respect you by fighting with them. Respect is earned through presence and the way you carry yourself. If you meet disrespect with anger, you are simply engaging in a power struggle. A man named Frank, a retired teacher, was being treated like an afterthought by his grown children. At first, he argued back, trying to prove he still deserved their respect, but it only made things worse. Then he made a change. Instead of arguing, he started carrying himself like a man who already had respect. He spoke calmly with wisdom without needing to win. Slowly, his children noticed. They saw a man who wasn't desperate for their approval, but who was simply a figure of strength and dignity. Show them what respect looks like by the way you treat yourself. Keep your dignity, speak with confidence, and never lower yourself to their level. When you hold your ground with grace, they will feel it. 3. Withdraw your emotional dependence. Cultivate emotional independence. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that we cannot depend on our children for our emotional fulfillment. The moment they sense that you need them to feel valued, the power in the relationship shifts. People, including our own children, respect those who are emotionally independent. When you rely on them for constant validation or attention, it can feel like a burden to them. They may pull away or treat you with impatience. Helen was a kind mother who had given everything to her children. As they got busy with their own lives, she found herself constantly calling them, reminding them how much she missed them. But instead of bringing them closer, it pushed them away. They saw her calls as an obligation. So Helen did something different. She stopped waiting and started focusing on her own life. New hobbies, friends, her own happiness. And a surprising thing happened. Her children started calling her more. They respected her time because they saw her as someone with a full, interesting life of her own. The less you depend on your children to make you feel needed, the more they will value your presence. 4. Set and enforce your boundaries. Set and enforce boundaries. One of the biggest reasons children lose respect for their parents is because the parents let them. If you allow your children to speak to you disrespectfully or treat your time and feelings as if they don't matter, they will continue to do so. People will always treat you the way you allow them to. Setting boundaries doesn't mean creating conflict. It means calmly and firmly deciding what behavior you will and will not accept, and then enforcing those boundaries. Robert, a retired businessman, struggled with this. His adult children interrupted him and dismissed his concerns. One day, he changed his approach. When his son interrupted, he calmly said, "I will continue speaking when you're ready to listen." When his daughter dismissed his opinion, he replied, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect you to respect me." At first, they resisted, but they soon realized their father valued himself enough to demand respect. Because of that, they started giving it to him. If you don't set boundaries, they won't. If you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. 5. Stop giving without appreciation. Stop unappreciated giving. One of the quickest ways to lose respect is to keep giving to people who don't appreciate it. As parents, we often give our time, energy, and support even when it's taken for granted. But when you give to someone who doesn't appreciate it, you don't build love or respect. You build expectation. They stop seeing your kindness as a gift and start seeing it as an entitlement. George was a father who was always generous with his children. He helped them financially and dropped everything to assist them. But instead of gratitude, he was met with complaints and expectations for more. He made a change. He stopped overextending himself and started saying no when he needed to. At first, his children were frustrated, but over time, they started to value his time and efforts because they realized his generosity was a gift, not a guarantee. If you feel your efforts are not respected, take a step back. When you teach people that your generosity is conditional on their respect, they will start to treat it that way. 6. Build a full life outside of them. Build a life of your own. The most powerful way to regain your children's respect is to show them that your happiness does not revolve around them. People respect those who have their own purpose, their own interests, and their own sense of fulfillment. If your children see that you rely solely on them for your meaning in life, they might start to feel suffocated. Worse, they might see you as someone with no life of their own. Eleanor, a widow, poured all her energy into her children's lives, but it only pushed them away. She made a choice. She joined a book club, started traveling with friends, and began volunteering. She stopped making her children the center of her universe. And something incredible happened. Her children started reaching out more. They were curious about her new, interesting life. They admired her independence. They respected her. When you show them that you are living, not just existing, they will start to see you in a completely different and more respectful light. Respect is not something you can demand from your children. It is something you inspire through the way you carry yourself, the boundaries you set, and the fullness of the life you live. If you have been feeling disrespected, do not waste your energy on anger. Instead, shift your approach. Stop chasing their approval. Lead by example. Cultivate your own emotional independence. Set firm boundaries. Stop giving when it's not appreciated. And most importantly, build a life outside of them that brings you joy and purpose. When you do these things, your children will start to see you in a new light. Not as someone waiting for their attention, but as a person who commands respect simply by being who they are. And in time, that respect will return to you, not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it. This is a challenging journey, and you are not alone in it. If you have navigated this situation, what advice or wisdom would you share with other parents? Let's support each other in the comments below. Your story could be incredibly helpful to someone else. If you found this video valuable, Please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content on building strong and respectful family relationships. Thank you for being here.